I'll stop talking about Volo when the Pokemon Company gives me answers. Welcome back to the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and yes, we're talking about Volo today. Long-time viewers of this channel will know that I am a big fan of Volo. I thought he was an excellent villain, and I don't think we've seen the last of him. I've gone over this several times on the channel, but just to very briefly recap for those who maybe haven't heard it yet, the reason I think Volo could return is because there are multiple things about him that show he is capable of returning. You know, he's very clever, he's very crafty, he, had access to Giratina, and we didn't even know about it for the majority of the Legends Arceus story. And he even has this line, or rather Professor Laventon has this line where he says, I don't think we've seen the last of Volo, or something to that effect. So this line made me think, oh, we're totally getting DLC set in Sinjo, we're gonna see Volo again, all this fun stuff, and we got Daybreak. Which obviously is not what we were thinking, right? Like, that's not, this big DLC. But I do still believe that Laventon was just a voice piece for GameFreak here. This was Laventon sort of breaking the fourth wall. He wasn't talking to the player character in Legends Arceus. No, he was talking to you, the person holding the Nintendo Switch playing this game, and saying, hey, I don't think this is the last time that you've seen Volo. I really think that this was GameFreak foreshadowing. They do this all the time in their games, and I think this is it. But previously, I have proposed that Volo could find some way to the future because, of course, he is very clever. He got access to Giratina. What's to say he doesn't get access to some other Mon that can send him into the future, or some other resource that can send him into the future? I used to think this. But then, upon some reflection, I realized, wait, who says he isn't from the future? I think that Volo is not truly an ancestor of Cynthia, but rather a descendant of her. Whether that's her son, or her grandson, or her great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson, like, where he's so far down the line that, like, our great-grandchildren wouldn't even know him, I don't know, but I do think this is the case. For one, in Legends Arceus, we have two Cynthia ancestors. She's the only character to get two ancestors that look like her. I guess you could kind of argue that some characters have two ancestors, but one doesn't look like them. Cynthia's the only one with two look-alike ancestors, and that of course Volo and Kogita. So I think that Kogita is the true Cynthia ancestor here, whereas Volo is of course her descendant. I had previously proposed, very early, in the very young days of Lumios Post, I proposed that Cynthia could be evil, and basically I built this all around how Cynthia modeled her team after Volo, with the only thing she was missing being Hisui and Arcanine, and obviously she'd be missing that because she doesn't have access to Hisui and Arcanine. That thing's long gone, right? But upon reflection, I'm realizing, hey, maybe that's not the case. Maybe Volo modeled his team after Cynthia. It makes sense. If Volo's plan is to rewrite the world in his image, it makes sense that he'd be like, okay, I need a powerful team to do this. Wait a second. My mom or grandma or great-great-great-great-great-grandma, whatever, was a very powerful trainer in the Sinnoh region. And not only was she a powerful trainer in the Sinnoh region, she was the champion of Sinnoh and was world-renowned. She had competed in the Pokemon World Tournament in the Unova region. She's competed in the Battle Tree of the Alola region. She has access to Mega Evolution, a phenomenon that doesn't even exist in Sinnoh. So, if I want to accomplish this goal, and I need a powerful team to accomplish that goal, why not just take one from my own family? And then probably what happens, the reason he picked up Hisui and Arcanine is because upon getting to Hisui, he realized, hey, people are talking about this Arcanine form like it's a legendary Pokemon. Because they do. The people of Hisui, hold this Pokemon in such high regard. It's kind of the explanation for why Arcanine is classified as the legendary Pokemon. So Volo likely puts this on his team so that he can use it as well against you, and has something even better than what Cynthia had. This also would explain why Volo was so knowledgeable throughout the story. He seems to know everything, and like I said, he even was able to get access to Giratina's plate, as well as Giratina itself. He knew so much about the culture and the history of the Celestica people, because its stories passed down through his family. You know, Kogita is one of the last members of the Celestica people. Cynthia looked up to the Celestica people and constantly was researching things about the Celestica people and the history and mythos of the Sinnoh region. So it makes sense that as time goes on, they're passing these things that they learn down their lineage. By the time it gets to Volo, well, he knows all about it. So I imagine what happened is, in the future, Volo got access to something that could allow him to travel through time. Now, there are, of course, Pokemon that can do this. You know, Celebi, Dialga, maybe Terapagos, judging by the fact that there's a time machine in Scarlet and Violet, and they very likely will tie that back to Terapagos. I don't know. Maybe it's even a Pokemon we haven't heard of yet. Or maybe even it's just an energy source. Somehow Volo was able to harness maybe infinity energy, because usually it's always infinity energy, and he was able to harness this to create a time machine and travel back in time. I don't think that the specifics are too important, because depending how far into the future Volo is, well, technology could be so advanced that it could just be a given that he can time travel. You know, time travel could be very commonplace then. I don't know. You know, very similar to how in the Marvel comics you have King the Conqueror, who's from so far into the future that he has all of his powers are really just technology based, and it's a technology beyond our understanding because it's from the future. So I imagine Volo is in a similar boat as this. That's right, I'm going as far as to say that Volo is Pokemon's King the Conqueror. But I haven't even gotten to the big kicker yet. I haven't even gotten to the thing that really blows the door open for Volo. And that is that in Legends Arceus, after you defeat Volo and Giratina, and he admits defeat, he waves his white flag, he gives you the final plate you need, and he witnesses the flute turn into the Celestica flute, or the Celestica flute turn to the Azure flute. He tells you, look, I'm gonna get Arceus. I don't care how many days, how many decades, how many centuries it takes. Well, Volo, buddy, I don't know if you know this, but people don't live for centuries. So, you know, the only person we know in the Pokemon world to live for centuries is AZ. So my guess is that when Volo says how many centuries, he just means because he holds time in the palm of his hand. Time is it's truly just a concept for him. He can at any point manipulate it and travel 100 years into the future. He can travel 100 centuries into the future. He has this ability to do this, likely through technology or a Pokemon. It's not like he has superpowers, but yeah, I firmly believe that this line was Volo kind of hinting that he isn't just some dude from Hisui who wanted to start some crap. Nah, he's a guy from the far future who knows exactly what he's doing. If he knows exactly what he's doing, and if he truly holds time in the palm of his hand, and if centuries truly are nothing for him, well, I think that we will indeed be seeing Volo at least one more time. Could that be in Scarlet and Violet DLC? I guess maybe. To be honest, I wouldn't expect it. There's a lot of characters in the Scarlet and Violet DLC and a lot of stories that kind of need to tie up with a nice bow, so throwing Volo could make it a little confusing. But it is possible because there are some Hisui ties in Kitakami, which is where the Teal Mask takes place, and of course if Blueberry Academy explores Terapagos, who is indeed the power source behind the Time Machine Area Zero, then maybe it's possible Volo could somehow pop up there, but I'd say it's more likely to see him in the future. You know, there are rumors of a Unova game coming up, and Cynthia does have her ties to the Unova region, and Cynthia's obsessed with history, so maybe Cynthia being in the Unova region is because there is something there. I mean, we know the lake spirits live in the Unova region, so perhaps Volo will follow this clue and head to the Unova region and we'll encounter them there. I don't know, But I gotta say, I am very excited to see Volo again, and I do believe we will see him again. Let me know what you think of this theory. Do you think that we will be seeing Volo again? Let me know all that stuff in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all our future videos. And until next time, I'll see all of you later.